Hi, my name is Peter Hartman, and I'd like to talk to you about liber8, letting go of your limiting beliefs. This is just a video to round out the experience that we had and to satisfy my desire to give you just a little bit more. When it comes to letting go of your limiting beliefs, I really want you to take hold of a principle. Far too often we're interested in the details of how to get something done. But if you understand the principle of what you're doing, then you can extrapolate very easily. I want to tell you something very simple that I learned when I was in elementary school, learning my 9 times multiplication table. So I had a very difficult time learning my maths and my memorizing these tables, and I really couldn't hold much in my mind. I knew I had this limitation of holding facts and details in my mind. And so, not knowing what to do, I just sat down and examined the problems. I knew that I could do my 1 times table, my 2 times table. Those were easy. I was obsessed with the number 3, so that became easy to me. But everything after that was kind of troublesome, especially my 9 times table. 9 to me in my mind has this personality of being very difficult. I know that's strange. It's just the way I am. And so I used to go 9 times 1, 9, simple enough. 9 times 2, 18, simple enough. 9 times 3, 27. And then we get into the weeds. What do I do? I can't memorize it. My brother, my twin brother, he could memorize it very easily. And he remembered everything very quickly. And I was very jealous. So I sat down and I tried to figure out the patterns, figuring out the details. I realized that if you look at the answers of the 9 times table, you saw a very interesting pattern. See, 9 times 1 is 9, and 9 times 2 is 18, and 9 times 3 is 27. And if you look at those numbers, you'll notice that each progression of the multiplication adds 1 to the first number and takes away 1 from the second number. So 9 becomes 8, add 1 to the second number. 8 becomes 7, add 1 to the second number. When I realized this, I realized that I could just calculate my 9 times table by doing this little principle, this 9 times principle. It was very interesting to me, right? So if I add 9 to 27, I get 6. And then I add 1 to the second number, right? This kind of opened things up for me. I realized that I didn't have to memorize the 9 times table. I just had to know enough in order for me to make this calculation. And so, because I found the 5 times table very easily, I could calculate my 9 times table pretty quickly. So 1, 2, and 3 were easy, and if I had to multiply 6, 7, or 8, I just have to look at my 9 times 5. 9 times 5 was 45. I knew that. I can memorize that. And so if I had to get 9 times 6, all I had to do was add 9, and I would get 4, add 1, 54, and so on and so forth. Now, I was just trying to illustrate how a principle can solve a limitation, how a principle can help you to do something if you can't do it another way. And what I want to give you here today is the override principle, what I call paradox. It's the way we can nullify our disbelief. What I want to tell you is this: all beliefs are limiting by their very nature. A belief is a definition, it's a compartmentalization of the world. You're taking a specific aspect and you're defining it. And by defining it, you create its contours, you create its limitation. But the same token, there are no such thing as limiting beliefs. It's not the belief that is limiting, it is our perspective of the belief that is limiting. Everyone in the world who has achieved any kind of success, no matter what the degree, no matter what the type, did so not despite their limitations and their beliefs, but because of their limitations and beliefs. It is the very limitation that caused them to reach for more, that caused them to expand beyond the boundaries of their previously known experience. Now, what is a belief? A belief is just a thought that you keep repeating. Right? It's just a thought that you keep repeating. You keep repeating it so often that it becomes a pattern of thought. And a pattern of thought is what we call a belief. So if you want to change a belief, any belief, all you have to do is acknowledge that it's just something that you keep thinking. So you choose to keep thinking the thought that will create the belief that you prefer. Now, at first, when you start thinking this thought, it won't feel like a belief that's true to you. It won't feel natural. It won't feel like a belief. It'll just feel like a thought that you're thinking. But the beliefs that you hold now were just thoughts that you thought long enough. And so you pick the thought or the thoughts that you prefer believing, and you think those longer. So, how do you deal with your limiting beliefs? How do you let go of your limiting beliefs? Step one is to identify what you're thinking, what those beliefs are. You want to take a firm look at them. You want to just frankly acknowledge how it is you're thinking. Then you want to take ownership of that belief by not criticizing it, by not saying that it's not you, by not saying that it's not good, by not devaluing it. You take ownership of it. This is my belief. This is who I am. But it's not who I need to keep being. Step three is that you transform that belief. You transform that belief through appreciation. You transform that belief by loving that belief. I shouldn't say loving. By liking that belief. I shouldn't say liking. By seeing the value of that belief. When you choose to see the value of the belief, you get 2 for 1. You get the act of choosing, which is activating your will, which is necessary in order to change anything. And then you get a shift in perspective where that same belief within a different context looks different. When you ask, instead of asking, how do I let go of something I don't want? And you start asking, how can I appreciate what I have? In that moment, you are in the process of transforming that belief. Because the belief is no longer the same. It's slightly shifted. You're seeing another side of it. Or you're wanting to see another side of it. So, step one, you identify the belief. Step two, you take ownership of that belief without judgment and criticism. It is your belief. You have it. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you transform it by the power of your will and appreciation. Will meaning you choose to sit down and take the time and energy to think the thoughts that you prefer thinking, and or by chewing on the thought that you are thinking in a different way. You add the spice of life to it. You add appreciation to that belief. So what is the value of your negative belief? Let's say you are a shy person. What is the value of being shy? It doesn't feel good, right? I'm a shy person. It doesn't feel good at first. If you're shy and you do something despite that shyness, don't you feel proud of yourself? Do you know that feeling of feeling proud of yourself, of feeling worthy, doesn't come if you didn't have shyness to begin with? You wouldn't feel that sense, that same sense of accomplishment, because the distance between where you are and where you have brought yourself is not that great if you don't have shyness. But if you have shyness, the distance from where you are to where you want to be is a huge jump, and it feels satisfying. In fact, you can even feel satisfied even if you don't accomplish it in the way that you would want to. Let's say you challenge yourself to face your shyness, and you put yourself in the moment where that shyness comes out, and you still feel shy, and you feel embarrassed, or you feel dissatisfied in some way. You can still feel proud of yourself for trying. Do you see how your limitations in this example only add to the joy, the satisfaction level of accomplishment? And it's because we recognize the satisfaction level of that accomplishment that gives us inspiration to do it, and to do it more, and to do it again. A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking, just a repetitious thought. And you've been thinking that thought because it's been programmed into you. It's been thinking that thought because you've been thinking it for so long, it's just a second nature to you. But it's just a thought that you keep thinking. So just choose to think something different. Make yourself do it. Now, sometimes I explain this make yourself do it idea, and I don't think that people understand. There are people every day who wake up and go to a job that they do not like, that they do not prefer. They make themselves do it. They do it because they can see the value in that job. On some level, they can appreciate what's going on. They're getting money to pay their bills. They're getting money to live. So you know, if you're one of these people, you know what it's like to just make yourself do something, make yourself think something, despite how you're feeling about it, despite your fear, your worry, your despair. And if you take that same attitude towards the things that you care about, things that you want to change, then you will change. Because the only thing that changes one pattern from another is your willingness, your willpower, your willingness to engage with a new pattern. So what are the patterns that you want? You can sit down and identify those. And any opportunity you have in order to activate that pattern within your mind, whether it's a thought or an action, take it. Make yourself take it. Now, I talk about paradox as being the override principle. And that's because I want you to both be satisfied with who you are, flaws and all, and eager for more. I want you to be satisfied, happy with who you are, everything that life has caused you to be, and also seeking out improvement. If you can realize that that is a paradox, to be happy with where you are and wanting more, that is a type of paradox, then you are closer to understanding the point that I'm trying to make here. The only way to rise to the new level is to integrate the levels that came before it. Not eliminate, not avoid, but to integrate them. And the way you integrate anything is by seeing its value through appreciation. When you choose to appreciate who you are more and more, then you take ownership of it and you have more control. You have more of an ability to change it because you're not spending part or a lot of your energy fighting against it. I'm sure you feel the amount of energy it takes to really work on yourself. But the amount of energy it takes to play with yourself is so much less. It's the difference between effort and effortless creation. Effortless creation is not one that requires no effort. It's one where the effort is joyful, when there is pleasure in that effort. And so we must find pleasure in our limitations, at least in challenging those limitations. And that's what I was talking about at our event. I was talking about seeing both sides, seeing the I can and the I can't, seeing the I'm brave and I'm afraid, seeing the doubt and the faith, seeing the loneliness and the companionship and the love together as one. And moving forward knowing that, of course, there'll never be a day where the potential of you feeling down or negative will be eliminated. So you have to make peace with it. You have to make peace with the ups and downs. You have to make peace with this roller coaster ride. And all I want you to do is make this roller coaster ride less turbulent, just a little less. It'll go up and down, but not so much. And you do so by appreciating the ups and downs. When you go down, if you kick yourself while you're down, you'll just go down deeper. But if you're going down and you say, this is okay, this is part of the ride, you're on the upswing. The idea that I'm proposing here with this override principle called paradox, this tool that allows you to nullify your disbelief by proclaiming that there is no such thing as belief or disbelief, is transcendence. We are rising beyond the dualistic nature of positive and negative. We are entering into the beautifully meaningless zone of neutrality. And from that state of neutrality, where you look down at the spectrum of positive and negative, you can choose what you want. You can choose a positive thought and feel pleasure. And you can choose a negative thought and feel pleasure as well. Not the same type of pleasure, of course. But when you choose something that you would consider to be negative, but it's your choice, when you choose to quit your job and you're without money and you're unemployed, you can still feel satisfaction. When you choose to end a relationship that does not serve you and you're feeling alone, you can still find satisfaction. When you choose to stay in bed instead of going to the gym because you don't feel like it, you don't have to kick yourself when you're down. You can feel proud of yourself that you weren't a victim of circumstances, but you chose to acknowledge your power to do or to not do. The idea may be a little complex, especially if you're getting into the positive thinking world. There's such a premium put on positive thought, and I think that's wonderful. It's like the training wheels on your bike. It teaches you how to get your bearings. But eventually what I want for you is to remove those training wheels and to not worry if you're going to fall. Because it's that risk of being able to fall that gives you the degree of movement that makes you feel powerful. I want to transform self-help into self-acceptance, into self-love. Because there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. There are only things that you want to fix. There are only things that you want to change. And there are only things that you want to improve. And the important part there is that you want it. And that's will. And that's desire. And those are the only thing, I believe, that will truly create lasting change. I want to say a special thanks to the guest speakers who came out to liber8, to Matt Shurry, Kimla Fitzgibbons, Allison Yulin, Ariel Shirker, to our wonderful host Samantha Barley, to Valerie Souley, one of our teammates, and to Tom Hartman, without which none of this would be possible. And of course, last but not least, I want to thank all of you guys who came out to support us, that came out to enjoy a time where we exposed ourselves to new ideas and new experiences. I want to thank all the people who purchased tickets, everyone who became subscribers, and I want to let you know that it's just going to get better from here. We're learning from our mistakes, and we are eager to provide you an experience that is unparalleled. This will be the best positive thinking, personal empowerment movement that we've ever seen. I'm so happy. What more can I say? Thank you again. Take care.